It's got me wondering, why do you think that there are so few women at the top in both the sciences and the social sciences? Professor 𝒂𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒍, you're the first Hungarian woman to win a Nobel Prize. What do you think?
You know, what I think is that whenever our career is moving forward, that's the time is the childbearing age, and many of the women decide to have family, and it is difficult for advancing their research, for example, and that might be one reason that
so
they give up
at all on the fact that it's women when they have children.
Yes, they give up their dreams because they want to have children. But I have a daughter, and Anne has 2 sons, so that we can show here that they can do both.
All right, Munji you're one of the chemist laureates. What's your take on this?
Well, it seems to me that when we look at the Nobel laureates, for instance, it's about research that was done decades ago. And what we have here are pioneers, women that were pioneers in their field when those fields were being opened up more and more to women, where the attitudes towards having women in those fields were beginning to change. I hope we've made progress since then, and I hope that having 3 women will no longer be seen as an anomaly, but rather a straightforward, common occurrence.
So do you agree, Professor Anne Louillier, you are the first French woman who has won the physics prize since Marie Curie 120 years ago?
Yes.
Fast forward now, do you think this is going to be getting better?
Yeah, I really think things are improving for women. I think for me the fact that there are very few women especially in science and technology is very much lack of role models. And for me, Marie Curie has played a very important role, so it's fantastic to be the woman after Marie Curie to get the Nobel Prize in physics.
Professor Drew Weissman, you are also one of the laureates in the prize for medicine or physiology. What's your take?
So I think it's a combination of things. I completely agree with Munji that 20, 30 years ago, women were just breaking into the field and were just getting recognized. But if we look at our modern society, women are still not treated equally. I'm sure Claudia can tell us quite a bit about this. And I think that's a problem with society in general. And it applies to women, it applies to minorities, it applies to so many different groups. And to me, the bigger question is, how do we solve all of these problems? How do we get all people to be treated equal?
Okay, Professor Ferenc Krauss, one of the physicists here. How do you solve it? I mean, you've got to start pretty early, haven't you?
Well, I would agree with everything what was said, and would perhaps add that there are also some stereotypes out there where girls might have the feeling that these activities like working in the lab, doing experiments are mainly jobs for actually men and not so much for women. And I think our role models here can provide the example that this may not be true, and we can do, of course, proactively a lot to actually reach out to high school pupils and invite them to our laboratories.
Oh, really? You've got to start that early.
Absolutely. That's where we have to do this, because just a too low percentage of pupils actually choose this subject, physics, chemistry, biology.
Professor Lewis Bruce, you're one of the chemist laureates also. I know you've got 3 children, including 2 daughters and some grandchildren. How do you think how do you see it from their point of view? Do you think things are going to get better in the future for women who want to go into science?
Yeah, definitely. There's been steady progress, during my lifetime, just as has been said at the table here. And I think role models are critical. A young student in high school looking at some scientists in the front of the room, they're thinking, how could I possibly fill that role? And if it's just white men, it's just, they're going to conclude it's not a possible career for them, no matter what we say. So role models are critical.
Claudia Golden, what I'm hearing around the table is that the importance of female role models to encourage females to go into science and social sciences seems to be the crux. Do you agree?
I don't think it's the whole thing at all. So the first thing is, as we've heard, is that I would really like to look ahead rather than looking behind. And if we look ahead, we do see, as we've heard, a lot of change, but we also know that there are impediments. And it's incumbent upon us to understand the impediments. So first of all, if we look at the various fields, what's pretty amazing is that the field of biology has become disproportionately female. And so we have to ask, why has that gone in one direction? Physics, engineering, chemistry has moved a bit. Economics is a little bit slower. Why are those being held behind a bit? In addition, even those who go through don't necessarily go into academia. They go into big pharma, for example. The final thing, I mean, we've talked about issues concerning home, family, and work. But we also know that the time that it takes to get a PhD and then to get tenure has expanded enormously. That disproportionately impacts women versus men. So in fact, we have added something that is more of an impediment as we've made progress.
Really interesting. Well, gender equality in the field of work and pay goes right to the heart of what you won your economics prize for.